What we're doing here at Piedmont with the fruits and vegetables section is to try and take the ideas that we have going in the lab and see if they work out in the field, or vice versa. Can we take things that are grown in the field and take them into the lab and look for criteria that are important to human health?
My program here at the Piedmont Research Station is focusing on both breeding and agronomic improvements in strawberries. And so they're really split programs but highly interrelated. So the genetics play a really important role, but then how we grow them and how that plant interacts in the environment is, from a farmer's perspective, is what we try to accomplish here at the research station.
The nice thing about North Carolina is that there's such a wide spread of specialty crops. It's very unusual in the United States to see that. To say that North Carolina is the equivalent of California is mind-boggling, but when you look at the variation in crops here for a relatively small state, and you look from east to west, it's a most unusual situation because you have such a wide value both of specialty crops and of agronomic crops. So you have a huge potential to make money, particularly with specialty crops, because they are high value.
What we try to do is we basically take a needs assessment from the farmers and say, what are the issues in agriculture, particularly strawberries, that my program needs to focus on? And that way I can allocate resources, limited resources, to areas that will translate into economic impact. We have grower preferences that we need to target, and we have consumer preferences. And so they're not separate, and they all come together. And one area where they come together is going to be in making sure that we have availability as long as we possibly can, right? Season-long availability of high-quality fresh fruits and vegetables. And so research-wise, we can do that through agronomics, right? We can change how we grow the crop in order to either make it fruit for a longer period of time, or we can use genetics to change that as well. And in addition to that seasonality aspect, we can use both of those approaches to impact fruit quality as well. So you as a consumer will see higher quality berries for a longer period of time that you can utilize in your own home, but then knowing that you're still supporting your local agriculturist.
I want to see that people appreciate it every day, and they may not think about it every day, but they can go back at some point and say, okay, the reason I have bananas every day is because of this research. And I like to think that about blackberries. The reason we have blackberries 12 months of the year now is because research that I did in particular. And that's the sort of the image that I want to walk away with at the end of my career. And it's not just that, it's the fact that, okay, how did those bananas get here? Who had to learn what? How many jobs has it created? What did those students have to learn along the way in order to accomplish these things? So it's a bit of a growing trend as well, you know. Every time you accomplish something, what have you learned from it? What can you take forward?
Our program focuses on kind of the front end of the food cycle, and how do we grow crops better, more efficiently, how do we keep our farmers profitable, and then how do we deliver that to the consumers. And the synergies that happen between agriculture and human health is really the dynamic part that's going to translate directly to the consumers in terms of human health and nutrition. It's about dollars and cents for the farmer. And so what I really like about what I do is that I can invest resources, whether they're from appropriated funds from the state, federal government, or through other external funding mechanisms, and put it into work that has direct translation into economic gain for agriculture.
So I wanted to have some outreach with, particularly with children, and particularly with school-age children, because mostly because my kids are in school, and I think it's really important for children to learn at some degree early on about how things are instead of a big black box on the campus and what goes on behind those doors. It's very important for them to realize that there's lots of stuff going on that's fairly easy to understand, and then there's stuff that might be more complex that builds on what they're learning in school. So for me, the connection is, can we take what we're doing in the laboratory and translate it back into a school setting so that when they're told that they have to go understand something about plants or humans in their studies, that is going to have a direct connection that they can immediately visualize as what it makes. To me, it makes much more sense.
Whether it's in a human performance laboratory or in human clinical trials, right? We take the raw products and we say, there's something important here. that we see in the laboratory, how does that translate to you when you eat it? Does it change your cholesterol levels? Does it reduce incidence to certain diseases, right? Those are the tangible impacts, right? That's where people can see it, they can hold it, and they can do something about it.